Okay, so buckle up because things are getting messy in the world of WordPress. We're talking lawsuits, accusations, and some serious tension brewing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a powder keg, right?
Definitely. But don't worry, we've got you covered. We've combed through sources like WP Weekly, the repository, and TLDR newsletter to bring you all the need-to-know info.
We're basically talking about a power struggle. You've got WP Engine, a major player in WordPress hosting, going head-to-head with Automattic, the company behind WordPress.com itself.
And the head honcho over there, of course, is Matt Mullenweg.
Right, and he's really at the center of this whole thing.
This isn't just some inside baseball for techies, though. This feud has the potential to impact, well, a huge chunk of the internet.
It's true. WordPress powers a ridiculous number of websites that you and I probably use every single day.
So what exactly went down?
Well, it seems like Mullenweg kind of threw the first punch.
He didn't hold back, did he?
Not really, no. He publicly called WP Engine, get this, cancer to WordPress.
Ouch.
Yeah, and on top of that, he accused them of trademark violations.
And I'm guessing that didn't go over too well.
You could say that. It escalated pretty quickly from there. Automattic decided to revoke an 8% trademark licensing deal they had with WP Engine.
Okay, so they basically said, we're cutting you off.
Pretty much. And then they took it a step further and banned WP Engine from the official WordPress hosting page.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Yeah, you can't really blame WP Engine for feeling like they were backed into a corner. And that brings us to the lawsuit.
Because when in doubt, sue, right.
Seems to be the way these things go. But seriously, WP Engine is claiming that Automattic is abusing their power to stifle competition in the market.
So they're saying that Automattic is using trademark law unfairly to maintain their dominance.
Exactly. Now, it's important to note that this is just one side of the story.
Right, we're only hearing WP Engine's version of events so far.
Exactly. But what is clear is that this whole situation has created some serious waves within Automattic itself. A bunch of employees, 159 to be exact, have decided to jump ship.
Wow, that's a significant number.
It really is, and it includes some big names, most notably Josepha Hayden Chaffezy.
And she was, remind me.
She was the executive director of the WordPress project, a really well-respected figure in the community. So her departure, along with so many others, speaks volumes.
It definitely suggests there's some internal turmoil over how this whole thing has been handled.
It makes you wonder what this means for the future of WordPress. Could this whole thing even lead to, like, a fork in the road for WordPress?
A fork? For those of us who aren't fluent in tech speak, what would that even look like?
So, in open source software, a fork happens when a group decides they've had enough and they split off from the main project to create their own independent version.
So basically, imagine WordPress splitting into two separate paths, each going their own way with development and features.
Exactly.
And what would that mean for regular folks who use WordPress or businesses that rely on it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It could mean having to choose sides, potentially migrating to a new platform, or even dealing with compatibility issues. It's a lot to unpack.
Definitely a lot to unpack. So in the middle of all this drama, Automattic drops these, well, they're calling them guidelines, for how hosting companies can use the WordPress trademark.
Yeah. Talk about interesting timing, huh?
It does feel a little bit like, I don't know, maybe an attempt to reassert some control over the brand.
Right, like, don't forget who's in charge here.
Exactly, and they're getting very specific about what they see as acceptable use of the WordPress name.
So what's the big takeaway here?
It basically boils down to this. You can say you offer hosting for WordPress, but don't you dare call it WordPress hosting.
Okay, so which one is it? Because honestly, to the average person, those sound exactly the same.
I know, right? It seems like
Yeah.
they're splitting hair, but I guess in the legal world, words matter, huh?
Trademark law is a whole other beast.
That's for sure.
But yeah, I mean, this whole thing just highlights how complicated it gets with open source software. Where do you even draw the line between what belongs to the community and what belongs to a company?
It's a good point. And speaking of adding fuel to the fire, remember Pressable.
Pressable, the hosting company.
Yeah, the one owned by, you guessed it, Automattic.
Oh, right. What have they done now?
Well, apparently they saw this whole feud as a prime marketing opportunity. They launched a whole campaign specifically targeting WP Engine customers. offering to cover migration costs if they switch over to Pressable.
Oh, so a little bit of kicking them while they're down, maybe?
Maybe is right, especially since they timed this whole thing to coincide with, everything hitting the fan.
Oh, wow. That's, yeah, the timing of that is certainly interesting.
To say the least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lawsuit and if this, factors into how the judge sees the whole situation.
Definitely. And if you thought this whole thing couldn't get any weirder, well, buckle up. We've got another player entering the game, Cloudflare.
Cloudflare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting.
Right. So for those who don't know Cloudflare, they're kind of a big deal in the world of, web infrastructure. And their CEO, Matthew Prince, he basically throws his hat in the ring and offers to donate server capacity to powerwordpress.org.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the backstory there? I'm a little lost.
Well, remember how Mullenweg made that comment about how, running WordPress.org, it takes serious money? He implied that not just anyone could step in and do what he does. So Prince swoops in and basically calls his bluff, says, we'll cover it, no problem.
Oh, wow. That's quite a power move.
Totally. But I also think there's more to it than just, server space.
Maybe.
Well, I think this is Cloudflare's way of positioning themselves as kind of the neutral good guys in all of this. The protectors of WordPress, if you will.
Interesting. So they get to be the heroes of this story and potentially gain some leverage down the line. Smart.
It's kind of like watching a tech industry thriller unfold in real time.
Right. And the crazy thing is, even if you're not a WordPress user yourself, this whole thing could still end up affecting you.
Totally. This could change how open source projects are managed and funded going forward.
It really makes you think about that balance of power. Between those communities creating the software and the companies built around it.
Yeah.
It's complex.
So complex. But speaking of complex, let's, maybe take a little break from the drama.
Sounds good to me.
There's a lot more happening in the tech world this week, so, while this whole WordPress saga has been hogging the spotlight, we've got some other pretty interesting stories to catch up on.
For sure. Remember ChatGPT?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's favorite AI chatbot.
How can I forget?
Well, they just rolled out a brand new interface. It's called Canvas, and it's supposed to make the whole writing and coding process even smoother.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about having a chat with a bot anymore.
Definitely not. This update is it's like they're moving ChatGPT from the research lab to the writer's room or the developer's workstation.
Oh, I like that. So you're saying this is about actually using AI to get stuff done, like real world stuff.
Exactly. Think about it. Brainstorming ideas, generating code, even writing whole articles. The possibilities are kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It's moving fast, that's for sure. Okay, so we've gone from lawsuits to AI. Where to next?
How about a little particle physics?
Hit me with it.
So CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research,
Yeah.
they just announced that they observed this incredibly rare type of particle decay.
Okay, you're gonna have to, break that down for me. I barely passed high school physics.
Basically, imagine you've got this puzzle, right? And for years, you've been putting it together, thinking you're getting close to the full picture, and then boom, you find this one weird piece, and it just doesn't fit anywhere. That's kind of what's happening here. This discovery, this particle decay, it suggests that our current understanding of physics, what we call the standard model, might be missing something.
Wow. So this could be a really big deal for, our understanding of how the universe works.
It could be huge. It'll take time for the scientists to dig into it all, but it's definitely a big moment in the world of physics.
Amazing. AI, particle physics, high stakes, legal battles in the world of WordPress. It's never a dull moment in the tech world, is it?
Never a dull moment.
Well, that about wraps up this week's deep dive into all things tech. We covered a lot of ground, huh?
We did, but you know what? It's all connected. And that's what makes it so fascinating to follow.
Totally agree. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. We'll be back with even more insights and analysis of the latest news and trends shaping the tech landscape. See you then.